Welcome everyone to the first Timefold interview. Today we're sitting down with Simon Tiffert, CEO of OptaZen. They provide consulting and training services for their customers using Timefold. OptaZen has been one of our partners since the very beginning. Together, we've solved all kinds of complex scheduling and routing problems. Today we're here with Simon Tiffert from OptaZen. So Simon, can you tell me a little bit more about what you do?
Yes, thank you for being here. And my name is Simon Tiffert. I'm the founder of OptaZen. I do consulting and development of complex planning problems at OptaZen.
Can you tell me a little bit more what kind of problems you've dealt with?
Yeah, so it all started with parcel delivery. So initially, we had this problem where we need to solve really, you have a lot of parcels, you have a few trucks, and what is the best strategy to put the parcel on trucks so that you get that delivered? Then we came to the thing where we had customers saying, okay, how can you do pickup as well so that you can combine on these topics? So that kind of all started with a lot of logistic focus, where a lot of these optimization solutions can be found.
Yeah.
And then, I moved on to a lot of different areas. And especially in the last years, I've seen so many areas where planning problems can be found.
So in what kind of industries have you seen them, for example?
I've seen from chemical industries to therapists working with children. I've worked with animals, how to work with these things. And also like a lot of production sites where you say, okay, production planning is a topic, and still also intralogistics inside of warehouses, for example. There are also a lot of planning problems to be found.
So I presume you've seen a lot of hard and soft constraints. So are there like specific ones, specific business requirements seen that you say like, okay, this is quite difficult to implement or quite difficult just to understand?
It is always a challenge when you start. I'm the expert on optimization technology, and on the other side, there is a customer, and you really understand this business, has special needs. And the first part always is, because I'm not from that domain, I need to understand the domain and translate that one into constraints. And then it's like, you start first with the physical ones.
Yeah.
Some are challenging to discuss with the customer because you always first has in mind what are his cost perspective or something. Yeah. But first you need to get a working model, and the working model, you need to describe the physics. So if you have a teacher, he cannot be in two rooms at the same time. It's physically not possible. So you start with like, first the hard constraints, which are maybe sometimes really obvious. Sometimes you also need to find out in the domain what they are. Yep. And then you move on and you have this soft constraint, and you try to find out, okay, what kind of soft constraints there are. And then like after you have the initial phase where you say the project is running, then you really get into the details and customer tell you more. And you then have multiple loops together with the customer to really optimize and get the result, which like also human planners would interact with. So really to get that solution to support the planner of all these ones.
Yeah. So you really run an agile process, as I understand this.
Yeah, I normally try to get the big picture so that I get all kind of details, but not in too many detail level, but to really understand what they want to solve. Yeah. And then I try to go with an agile process to really say, okay, what are the things we can build first? To also showcase what does it look like, how is technology working, are this the results, how can we integrate into your solution so that you can see the results, so that I get early feedback in the project and not say, okay, I will return after several months with this magic solution. It's a lot of also in this phase working with the customer when you have the first plan and then to iterate on the solutions.
Yeah. So if I understand it correctly, they're the domain experts, and you need to get that domain expertise from their head into your solution, basically, that you're building.
Yeah, exactly. I just had one project, and then you have your first questions. Yeah. Then you get all the requirements, and you analyze your requirements, and then you have all these small little detailed questions because it's exact at the end. So you really need to get all the small details, and then you have a lot of questions. So you need someone really with domain knowledge to talk to. And even when they see the plan, it's often that they get you initial feedback to the first plan. So it's like typical that like the first plans doesn't match the requirements exactly. And then you have some loops, and then it's getting better with every loop. So you can integrate, you change the constraints, you add some constraints, you add the balancing with constraints so that they really fit their needs and that it really looks like their solution, because I built with my customer or with my company custom solutions to really fit the needs exactly to the customer.
Yeah. And how important is this balancing of constraints, and what is it exactly for you?
The balancing for me is like really with like to see, okay, we have cost on one side, but we have employees on the other side, and you need to find a balance between these. And one really good example is like when you do parcel delivery and you have time windows. So you can't deliver this parcel before 11 a.m. And sometimes it's like that you say, okay, the driver from the optimal plan would arrive there at 10, has 1 hour, and it's not yet a break time. And then at 11, he delivers parcel. That will get you the best cost from kind of travel distance. But also there is this kind of, how does the driver feel when he's just sitting in there? So you really need to get all these things leveled up so that you later can say, okay, the driver thinks it's a good plan, but also from the cost perspective, from driving, from CO2 level, that all these kind of different small details really go into the solution. And then it's also when you work together with a planner who has done it before to really get the details right.
So it's a little bit of a trade-off, and you have to make everybody happy within your customer's company, basically.
For me, it's often you get examples, or someone would say, I would change these or that, and then you try to really balance so that you meet that goals or meet that plan, or see, okay, this stop normally needs to be for that stop. Why is that the reason? So what are the thoughts? And then you also sometimes need to go back. And it's not just in the constraints. You maybe need to add specific flags into the data, go back to domain modeling, add some new fields, see if that's available in systems so that you then can integrate all of these solutions.
But and you always have to follow the business requirements, right? You have to make sure it helps the business forward, right?
I mean, it's in every project, the most important thing that there is a return of investment and that you can bring value to the customer. That's also why I really like the agile approach, which is possible that you can say, okay, we first build something which brings you first, maybe you can see it and you can already use it maybe in production, and then we try to add things which are maybe not that relevant or which we also need to find out together with the customer, so that we then have a solution which brings value, and that we see on that one that there is at the end really a result which can be used every day, because we really mostly in the company do really the operational planning for the day-to-day basis.
Yes, that makes sense. And so what do you like about Timefold?
For me, it's like I'm coming with a Java background, so it's quite easy to work with together with Quarkers. It's such a nice combination to just get started and have a really quick way of iterating, expressing your constraints in Java itself directly. You can work test-driven, so also for like specific constraints which are really complex, you can go there and say, okay, this is something which makes sense, and you just write it, but you really now can test every unit piece of some really complex logic, and sometimes it's really complex. And last week it was a test case who just catched my error before it was going to the project and to the customer to just see, okay, that really helps to prove on that one. And I think that's really special. And all the tools around like Benchmarker and all these things, really, really helpful to then get a good configuration, see how it performs, maybe try out different algorithms, and then see together what is the best result, where do we get the best runtime with the customer.
That's great. Thank you. What would you like to see improved in Timefold? What are you waiting for us to do, basically?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one specific thing, it's like sometimes we have a solution and you have great changes, but sometimes we really need this special complex move. And then currently there are custom moves. If you go to the documentation, it's really complex. Don't go that way if you don't need to. But as I really have special cases with my customers, there are always need to really optimize in that or to get that specific move. So we talk about move streams, so that really can be one great addition, which really solves a lot of these things where we can even improve on the results we're currently. So
those are definitely coming. Yes. Okay. Thank you for your time, Simon. Very insightful answers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this show, and join us next time.